Morning, good afternoon. Thank you all so much for being here and being part of this session today. We are going to be talking about Apple device management unification at Texas A&M University. So quick introductions here. My name is Ashley Ahrens. I am a strategic account executive at Jamf for the high ed team. Joining me on stage today, I also have John Griffey, who is the director of endpoint unification at Texas A&M. And then I also have Stephen Johnson, who is the IT manager for the unified Apple device management team. So just to keep you all on your toes, I know you know the spiel about Q&A, but we're going to actually be doing Q&A a little bit differently today. The hope of this is that we can continue conversation and just provide an opportunity to answer questions, whether it be something that you think of now during the session, or if you wake up with that burning question for John and Stephen in the morning and just wanted to pick their brain one more time, we are going to leave this open for the duration of the conference. So if you don't mind, go ahead and scan that QR code, and this is also for those that are attending virtually. Once you scan that code, it's going to bring up this page, and what it is it's a place to park your questions. So I encourage you to do it now, but the QR code will be available on each slide, but here we have it organized by the Texas A&M team and then for the Jamf team. So if you have a question, you just hit that plus button, just like the app. Go ahead and put your question in the bubble. You can also vote for that, so that will help us kind of, as we get to the Q&A portion, prioritize those questions as they come in. And you'll also notice on there contact information is there. So maybe you don't think you have a question, but if you want to have the opportunity to reach out to anybody afterwards to further discussion, I do have email addresses on there as well. So please help us continue the conversation by using this resource. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. When conversations started with Texas A&M, they were really looking for a way to find some consistency, efficiency, and better security for their devices. They were hoping to also, like many organizations today, reduce technology costs and administrative overhead while keeping that customer experience top of mind. That really is a priority for everybody and something that we don't want to ever see sacrificed. So in order to do this, the team decided it was time to centralize or unify their Apple management and come up with a specific team who would be responsible for this project and managing the Apple devices moving forward. So how are we going to do this? If you look at the information on the slides, you can learn a little bit about Texas A&M. As many of you are probably aware, Texas A&M is the largest public university in the U.S. It's home to 75,000 students, about 10,000 faculty and staff, and it's extended over 10 different campuses. When we take a look at their Apple device environment, they had 18 different instances of Jamf across their College Station campus alone. And from that total, you can see there were about 5,000 managed devices, and there was an understanding that there was about 2,500 that were not managed that needed to be managed. So taking a look at these numbers, the first decision that really went into this project is what are we going to do with the environment? Are we going to start fresh with a new instance of Jamf and move everyone over to that? Or was there an environment that made sense to absorb the other ones into? So with the 18 different instances of Jamf, everybody had there were different teams that were responsible for managing, various device counts. There were different products. Some of the 18 instances were using only Pro. Others were using Pro and Connect. So what made sense for the team moving forward was to start fresh with a new instance, especially because there was going to be a new dedicated Apple unification team that was going to be responsible for this environment. So that really just opened up the opportunity for them to be able to start fresh and strategically build out this environment the way that they wanted it to be. The next decision was what type of instance would make sense for this project. So the team knew they wanted to utilize the Jamf Cloud to take advantage of just some of the obvious standard services such as, Jamf helping take care of your upgrades for you, storing database backups, but they also wanted to invest in premium cloud in order to have access to or have the option to upgrade when it made sense for their team. So this provided a lot of additional flexibility for them that was helpful so that as they're moving through different projects and stages through even the initial part of the project, they had that control over when both their production environment would be upgraded as well as their sandbox environment. The next part of the decision was support. In order to really maximize the initiatives that they had going with this project, to really help move goals forward in the future, and really to give, again, that best user experience, we looked at a couple different options of support that is available with Jamf. Ultimately, they decided to invest in Premium Support Plus, which helped give them a dedicated customer success manager. And really the benefit of that is it really allowed the team at Texas A&M and Jamf to really get to know each other, know the project in and out, and be able to be on the same page of kind of where the project is on a regular basis and where it's going. In addition to that, having that dedicated model, it also gives that 24/7 support. We've had executive business reviews, which has been really beneficial for leadership on the A&M side, just to know what's going on, what issues have been run into, what are the goals moving forward for the next 6 months, as well as success planning, because this is an ongoing initiative and a project, and we want to make sure that the team feels very supported along the way, and we're right alongside them knowing what goals and what issues we need to tackle. Last but not least was also services. So again, I had mentioned that this is really an ongoing initiative and partnership, and part of that is not knowing what the future holds. And I know you are all very aware of all those question marks that you see just constantly moving forward through projects in your job. But having different service options has been really helpful to the team as well, because with our service packages, they've had the ability to lean on Jamf and kind of utilize extra services, everything from project planning for this specifically, security initiatives, getting to really dive down in what they wanted to do with security and how we could help, and even to basics of health checks. With this new environment and moving all of these devices over, there's so much moving on. Are we building out this environment the way that it needs to in order to be successful and have a healthy environment for these devices to live? So having that additional resource and flexibility to be able to use those services as projects and needs come up has also been really helpful for setting a foundation for this project. But really, so, those were a lot of items from the Jamf perspective of kind of what went into decision making for this large initiative that the campus had to decentralize or unify their 18 instances. But really, it helped just set a good foundation for us to work as a partner and to really understand the project and really to just set the team up for success for the, starting the project and then hopefully just continuing down as things develop over the years. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to John.
Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, for us, the big partnership with Jamf was really, really important. There's a lot of elements that Ashley covered that we've leveraged throughout the project that made us successful, I believe. As a university, in a distributed IT environment, historically, that was one of our really great challenges, right? How do we bring all of these IT folks who are managing these disparate instances together, not only from a technology standpoint, but also, get on the same page with how we're going to move forward with a centralized model. And a big part of that was partnering with them and developing an early adoption program with our faculty and staff. So we met early on in the project to understand kind of what their needs were across their different instances, get an idea of kind of what they were managing on a day-to-day, and then ask them to help us recruit faculty and staff that were willing to participate in an early adoption program to give us feedback. User engagement was really, really important. IT at A&M has always tried this, and being distributed, it's very difficult to do in a coordinated fashion, and so our new unification strategy really allowed us to kind of leverage that, and we were able to get over 200 participants in our early adoption program. But the early adoption program really developed kind of a feedback mechanism between us and the customer. We had several options that customers could give us direct feedback, whether that was through surveys that we distributed to them to get specific information that we wanted, but also within kind of our management on the device, we had a feedback mechanism that they could submit at any time. We timed it for both enrollment as well as post-enrollment so that we could get initial feedback from their experience during migrations or enrollment, but then also a couple of weeks later, see how you've been using a managed device now for several weeks. How is your experience? What can we improve? And that's proven really, really beneficial to the support team, to the unified team, to understand where the pain points are. And with that, we also developed a strategic initiative site. This was really important, kind of public facing. Even if you're not a Mac user, here's kind of what's going on at A&M. Here's what this project is about. For us, something that we've been planning for a while is also Windows unification that's coming soon. But this was really a kind of a tip of the spear project for us to see, one, could we pull it off, right? That's number one. And then two, how did we want to do it and what lessons do we learn going through the process? So as part of that strategy, we knew automation was a really, really big deal. There was no way a campus our size and scale, spread across many campuses across the state, that we'd be able to do this having to go around and touch every device. And so we partnered with Mesa, who's a Jamf Gold partner. Steven over there, his team, fantastic, really helped us develop a custom workflow based on automation so that we could leverage the efficiencies of user-driven prompts and migration. We still had folks boots on the ground helping when users didn't understand a prompt or ran into an issue. They were available, but by and large, all of our migrations initiated and were driven by the user. So that really helped us accelerate, I think, the migrations from the old tenants as well as enrollments of unmanaged devices. The strategy we took, because we started kind of the early adoption program around around January, and went through March-ish, April, and so we're in the middle of the semester, right? That's kind of challenging. So we started with non-academic units, and then as the semester wound down, got past finals, we moved to the academic units and then computer labs and things like that. So, that really helped us as well learn kind of what the process was going to be like and how it was going to impact our users. Not just the early adoption program, but the order at which we went for our migrations. And I think that, is something that, as we think about Windows unification, is something we're going to take with us. But one of the big things I think that I want to share that was pretty obvious early on, and why the value of the unified team started paying off almost immediately, was we had a lot of folks doing their very best across these distributed IT teams, managing or trying to manage these Jamf environments, but just not really having the skills or the training that they needed to do so effectively. A lot of them just didn't have the time, right? So we invested heavily in Jamf training, and you can see kind of the numbers there of all of the folks over the last 12 months, really, that we were able to train and certify. It was important for us to have those folks experience training on site at A&M. I know Jamf offers remote training, but it was important for us to work with Ashley to make it possible to bring instructors on campus so that these folks could participate with their colleagues and their peers, going through the training together, learning, getting to know each other, as we try to unify all of the IT service delivery as well. And I'm really excited about the numbers. I don't know that if you asked me ahead of time if I would have been able to predict that many people getting certified, but one of the big, wins we had with one of our certification courses is we had a 200-level cohort, all 12 certified, and I hear that doesn't happen very often. So just shows the dedication of our IT support team and professionals who who have maybe wanted this for a very long time, and either leadership or funding or whatever didn't have the capabilities of providing it. And so I'm very thankful to our operational leadership for providing that opportunity for these folks. Along with skilling and training our staff, security was a really big deal. We knew that across these instances, some folks were doing things quote unquote the right way, and some folks really didn't know what to do or how to do it the right way. And so we very much investigated and discussed the possibility of bringing Jamf Protect into the fold. I know our IT security operations team really had not developed a lot of Mac security expertise. And so it didn't take long for us to realize the value of Jamf Protect and how it would work in our environment and integrate with our tool set. And so with that, we were able to bring our InfoSec people along, have them participate, understand kind of the value of Jamf Protect, how we wanted to implement it, the policies and remediations that we wanted to have set up so that we could be successful in securing our Mac devices in our environment for the first time, really, at scale. Some of the things that we've really gotten benefits out of is the unified logging with Jamf Protect. This has been a big deal. We haven't had the visibility and telemetry from Mac endpoints like we get with the logging. That goes right into our SIM. We've got dashboards built up so that we can see kind of what we want to see. And then SAP privileges, I'm sure most of you probably are either using it or know about it. But in our environment, it was really important for us to enable our users in a secure way to elevate to admin when they needed it. And this has been probably the biggest benefit, positive feedback that we've gotten from our customers since we implemented it. And with Protect, we're able to pull in the telemetry of who's elevating, when they're doing it, how frequently, so that we can kind of monitor that. Our InfoSec team really is kind of taking the posture of, monitor, right? And then as we see anomalous behavior, address it. Don't restrict everybody, and then prevent productivity, right? And in a university environment, that's really, really important, that you enable your users to be successful in doing their work. I think the last thing with that is, we hope, and we've seen this trend at A&M, I'm sure other universities have seen this, is InfoSec and endpoint management kind of blending responsibilities and roles. And so this partnership with InfoSec is really kind of the start of what I hope becomes a new model for how we do endpoint security in general. Not throwing something over the wall to InfoSec because it's their problem, and them not throwing it over to us because it's our problem, but working together. And so I think, Stephen, you want to talk a little bit about self-service and what value that's brought to us? Oh, there you go.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, so like most Jamf admins here, we wanted self-service to be the one-stop shop for all our faculty and staff, and it was a highlight of the project that we promoted through communications and emails and marketing material. In the 18 servers, some people were utilizing self-service to provide packages and other things that faculty and staff might need. And then in a lot of them, people weren't using them at all. And so we wanted to highlight that on the unified tenant and on unified devices, the self-service will be where they can go for all their software needs. They won't have to submit a ticket, wait for support teams to get to them, and with the inclusion of privileges, if they found something that wasn't available yet, they could still install it. As part of that, we partnered with our software procurement team. So we audited all the 18 servers to see the packages that were being deployed. We took it to our procurement team, and we checked. Some people didn't know that there were university site-wide licenses already available, and so they were kind of doubling up their paying for licenses that they no longer needed. So we vetted all the software, and the ones that were okay to put on self-service, we deployed. I think as of this morning, we're over 230 applications now. And then also in self-service, one of the things I wanted to highlight was we rebranded the bookmark page to, we call it just help page. But there we're able to just link to our knowledge base articles we wrote that showcase the different tools that people would get on a unified device and sort of the new features that they could expect. For instance, how to use privileges or how software updates will work on a unified device now. John had mentioned it earlier. One of the buttons allows them to submit feedback directly to my team, where we can review it as soon as it comes in, and it's automated to detect whether are they submitting a support issue or are they asking for a feature request. And then it's through Power BI sent to Teams, Microsoft Teams channel, and we get instant notification when those are delivered. The next slide, it'll play a video that we, our team partnered with the marketing and communications group to kind of serve as another kind of all-encompassing video that highlights the new features on a unified device, sort of what they can expect once they either migrate or if they have a brand new device that's being set up straight into unified, and let them know what to expect.
Technology Services has reimagined Apple device management at Texas A&M University through the power of Jamf, an industry leader in modern Apple device management and security. With Jamf Connect, your NetID is enabled to sign you into your device. Jamf Pro helps you keep your operating system and applications up to date. The Support Hub shows you important and timely information about your Mac, connects you to helpful IT resources, and is where you may submit feedback about your Mac experience. Through the Self-Service Hub, you gain 24/7 access to the most popular apps and resources you need for your Mac with one-click installation. Through Automation Intelligence, your Mac will let you know when a version of software may no longer be supported and you may need to upgrade, and provide you clear instructions for installing the latest version. Through integrations with privileges, the Support Hub grants you just-in-time elevation of your user account to an administrator so you can successfully authenticate when prompted for admin credentials, securely ensuring no disruption to the important work you do at the university. Technology Services has assembled a team of Mac experts to form the Unified Apple Device Management Team, dedicated to providing you the best Mac experience so you can produce your best work for Texas A&M. To learn more about these features and other capabilities you'll experience on your managed Mac, visit tx.ag/Jamf.
So that stinks because it was actually supposed to show something, and it's a really good video. So if anybody's interested, we're happy to send you the link. It's in YouTube and everything. But you got the gist, I guess, from the audio. So sorry about that.
Yeah, in the video, it would walk you through, and you'd see some of the things on this slide, but actually being used. The first one is Jamf Connect. So, like we had mentioned, some of the servers were using Jamf Connect, but a lot weren't. And kind of the problem that came from that is now faculty and staff might have to juggle 2, 3, and I heard in some cases even 4 different sets of credentials, depending on what they needed to access. So it was very important, and it was a decision we made before we even started pursuing a migration workflow that Jamf Connect was going to be on every machine. And it would unify not just the device and through Jamf, but also the login mechanism. What you would have also seen in the video is the second portion is the support app. This is an open source menu bar tool developed by the Root 3 group. It's available on GitHub, and I highly recommend people look into this if it works for you guys. It's very customizable. In our case, we are using some of the default options that come with the app, but then also a lot of customized ones. The first 4 windows up there, which really just showcase, sort of diagnostic or device information, We put there so that if a customer calls in to support desk or a help desk and they need to submit a ticket, this will answer most of the questions, a support team's going to ask, what type of device are you on? Are you on Wi-Fi? Are you in Ethernet? That kind of thing. The last kind of half of support app up there are our custom workflow buttons. The one right there, help desk, really all it's kind of doing in the background is running a Jamf recon and a Jamf policy. But this, if somebody calls in and they need something and we realize it's not on the machine yet and we deploy it, we can ask them to run a health check and it'll pick up and, take off. Actually demoed in the video is somebody trying to install an application, but they're not an admin. With the button over there, they can just immediately elevate through privileges right there. And that's important to us because it makes it easy, again, for support groups. If somebody calls in, they know exactly where to direct somebody to elevate them to admin. They don't have to ask them to search through their applications for privileges and describe what it looks like. Anybody that's worked with customers know that it's this is much easier. The other buttons, they can contact their IT support. That launches a browser window that is populated with all the local support help desks, their location, their phone number, and their email, so that a customer can call them. Similar to the admin button is a button to just launch self-service. Again, it's another dedicated spot that we can direct people to immediately launch self-service and then help them navigate through self-service to find what they need. The bottom three buttons, Chat with Help Desk Central, launches a live chat window with our help desk, so they don't have to navigate to a website and try to find the link to open a chat. They can just do it straight from here. The Provide Feedback button is the same one that was in self-service, but here they can also just launch it from here. It'll ask them whether they're having an issue or they just want to provide general feedback. And then the last button is to check for application updates. This just runs a policy that checks in with the programs that are being installed via Installator to see if there's a pending update. And this allows the user to really define their patch window. And that's probably been our biggest ask out of this project, is to kind of redefine and allow patching to fit a customer's schedule. And then up next, John will talk about the challenges we've overcome, what the future looks like for us, and the importance of service improvement.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. We had, every project has challenges. I think some of the primaries for us were a number of devices just in an unhealthy state where automated workflows just don't work like you expect them to. We had a good number of devices that were unmanaged, so the user experience was new for that user, having to go through this process and then also use a managed device. And then, kind of talked about it earlier, but we're transitioning admin responsibility, or the bulk of the admin responsibility, off of a good number of teams distributed across campus onto now a unified team that's handling that for them. And what does that transition look like, right? And how do you change the relationship there? It's so important for us that we rely so heavily on our distributed IT teams that are the boots on the ground doing the work, know the customers, understand the challenges and all of that, to make sure that they don't feel isolated because we're taking away certain access or responsibilities or roles or whatever. And so it's important for us to build kind of a framework around how we address that. And one of those things I think is been really helpful is, along with our Jamf training, kind of certificate-based or certification-based access, right? Your Jamf 200, you get a certain level of permissions within the unified console. Jamf 300, maybe a little bit more elevated, so on and so forth. And I think that has worked as kind of an incentive as well for folks to get the training and skill up, as much as possible. So, those challenges continue to come and we continue to try to address them. I think for us, it's all about improvement, service improvement on a continuous basis. So this is a new centralized service for us. We're looking ahead, preparing for Sonoma. Obviously, the release date got moved up, I think, from what most people expected, so we're scrambling a little bit to try to make that ready. But we're committed to that, right? Jamf is helping us do that by being ready for release day, and so we're getting ready as well. And then automating compliance. We've started this. We have a pretty well-defined security controls catalog at A&M, and a lot of the team has put in some really good effort to map configuration profiles and policies to those controls so we can easily identify machines that maybe are out of compliance or need to be addressed in some way. We just want to continue to build on that with integrations with Jamf Protect. I know our Protect admin worked recently with the security team at Jamf to implement Aftermath, and that's going to be a huge win for us, I think, at scale. But then also looking forward to declarative device management and what that means and how that changes things for us. And so these are all things on our roadmap that we're really intentionally trying to focus on. Met later in the summer, June, July timeframe with the team to set goals, right, past migration. We spent so much time over the last year focused on just migrating devices that now, we're in that mode of how do we operationalize this? What are the key factors of success, over the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and been really excited about kind of the roadmap and what's coming, and then the announcements of Jamf Pro 11 and the capabilities there are going to make things like software update and patching and everything a lot easier. So the future's bright, I think, for us, and we're excited about it. But I just, the partnerships really have been at the core of all of this, whether it's partnering with Ashley, at the beginning of this, throughout on the services that we need and the things that align with kind of our goals, to our customer success manager, Alyssa Heath, she's awesome, being very responsive to our needs, and really any time of day, right? We have a Slack channel set up. We have something we need, she responds. That's been really helpful. And then our partnership with Mesa and the automation. We went through several iterations of that automation, and it looks very different than when it started. And I know Mesa's talked a lot about how improved it is for us. We love it. Happy to share with you all kind of what that looks like in depth. Tomorrow there's a session that the team is doing called Mechanics of a Migration that talk a little bit more about it. So I encourage you, I think it's at 9, right guys? Yeah, I encourage you to check it out if you're more interested in the technical aspects of our migration workflows and all of that. But really excited about the future.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Really, this has been such a privilege to work with this team here and on this initiative. It's been really fun, and I'm really grateful for the relationships and the partnership that we have, not only with you and the team, but also the university. So some of the fun things that we've been able to do together is we recently just aired our first high ed specific breakfast club. I'm not sure if anyone was able to join that. We have this awesome opportunity today to be presenting together and just doing things such as being references or being part of the Jamf Heroes group. I'm just so grateful for all the contributions that you and the team have also provided for Jamf and the community in sharing this story today. So thank you all for the great partnership, and I truly look forward to what the future has in store, because it is a great team, it's a great project, and they really have just the right minds and right group to really make this thing a huge success. So that is what we have. Thank you so much again for your time. I hope that you all are leaving a little bit inspired or energized or motivated from hearing some of the amazing things going on at Texas A&M. Again, here's that QR code. So please feel free to put your questions on there. Again, we're going to watch this through the rest of the conference tomorrow as well, and you can find contact information for all three of us if there are additional questions that you want to reach out directly for.
Perfect. The number one question that we had in there was, can I get the GitHub link? That is in there. So someone was kind enough to drop that in there. So if nothing else, go in there, you can grab that. All right, security. Do you use any other security software in addition to Jamf Protect?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this was actually a really important point of conversation that I had with our CISO, and currently we are using CrowdStrike. We also use Nessus for vulnerability scanning, and then we are in the process of rolling out Proofpoint to replace Spirion for DLP. And so we have kind of a myriad of security tools, which I'm sure some of you can resonate with. We're working towards, getting to what is necessary from our security team's perspective, as well from an endpoint perspective. I think the biggest challenge from an endpoint management side of things is, the more agents, the more processes running, the hit on performance and all of that. We want to try to reduce that as much as possible while still securing the environment. Jamf Protect is, running so lean. We'd really like to get it down to maybe just that and, CrowdStrike or something, but we'll see. But we're intentionally working towards reducing those number of security agents.
Perfect. I have a question about elevated privileges. Is there any logging done as to what users are doing while they are an admin, or is this just timestamps and frequency?
Yeah, great question. No, it's pretty robust, all of the logging that we get. We're tracking sudo command usage, and we get all of that ingested into our SIM, and we can kind of parse that based on what SecOps or we find important. And so, that integration comes through Jamf Connect to pull that privilege usage information in.
Perfect. I have another Jamf Connect question here. When using Jamf Connect, do you have a cloud-based AD, or were you able to use it with an on-premise AD server?
So we're a hybrid. Currently it's technically on-prem, but we're moving to Azure AD. And so the authentication method is Azure SSO, but a lot of the resources that users are accessing are distributed amongst a lot of on-prem AD environments. And so that's another project at A&M is AD consolidation. So short answer is on-prem.
I have about 3 questions left. Migration. Do you use Jamf Migrate to assist in the migration from one instance to another? Did you have any device another question. Do you have any device migrated from non-Jamf MDM to a unified instance?
The second part of that question, the answer is no. We did not migrate any devices off of non-Jamf MDM environments, but we did have a lot of unmanaged devices or devices managed by another MDM that we didn't do a migration, but basically we enrolled them as an unmanaged device. But the first part of the question is, it's a custom workflow. I kind of mentioned Mesa, the Jamf Gold partner that we worked with. It has elements of a lot of different things. I'll let the team maybe talk about it in the session tomorrow, or if you want to get with me offline, we can sync you up with Mesa and get into the real specifics of it. But very, very customized. So not really Jamf Migrator.
Last 2 questions here. How were support teams reorganized after IT unification? Did you have a breakdown of roles and responsibility in Jamf?
Yeah. Yes. So part of the unification came on the heels of IT unification at A&M. So in September of last year, we organizationally moved all IT professionals into one organization called Technology Services. And so there was already kind of this effort to realign roles and responsibilities. We kind of implemented a design, build, operate, and support model at A&M, and the support piece is a lot of the distributed IT folks that I mentioned earlier. But it did have a mix of sysadmins and things that kind of over the last year have moved into operational roles with our technical operations team. So it varies, but by and large, those Jamf admins have taken maybe the 20, 30, 40% of Jamf administration that they were doing along with their support duties and offloaded a lot of that to the unified team so that it freed them up to do more support-facing things within the colleges and units. I'm sure most universities experience this. We run really lean as it is, and so this was really an effort to try to offload that responsibility so that they would have the time and effort to not wear so many hats, right, and focus on their primary role. But with that, we've had a lot of support folks also have interest in joining the unified team, and at least in 2 cases, well, 3 actually. if you consider the Windows team, we've had folks that were in the colleges and units move into the unified team to become those enterprise admins. But I mentioned this in the talk, we still allowed them to have some level of access based on their level of certification or combined with the business need, right? So if a Jamf admin in a particular group needed to do a thing administratively, the granular controls within Jamf Pro allow us to give them that access and then support it with their level of certification.
And a good change management question here. With such a large-scale change, did you run into faculty pushback? How did you handle that and ensure the change would give them a better experience?
Yeah, I really wish y'all could see the video. So that was a big part of it, right? We knew that we had to work directly with the faculty and staff, emphasis on faculty, to make sure they understood what we were doing and why we were doing it. That strategic initiatives page I talked about, the video that we created that we put out there so people could actually visualize and see what it was going to look like was a big help to that. But the early adoption program was really the core of it. I mean, just engaging them, asking for volunteers, and getting their feedback, and then being very responsive to that feedback was so important. If we tried to do this in a vacuum, it would have been a huge failure. Has it been perfect? No. Every project has challenges and issues that it runs into. But the thing that I've kind of tried to emphasize throughout this is that the migration is a beginning. It's not an end, right? When we're done with migrations, we've only just begun to improve service and device management for Apple users on campus. And so, having that conversation, using our executive leadership's influence through our faculty of deans and, different influence groups for faculty and staff really played an important role. And then the communications from our marketing and communications team that we developed. We created templates for the IT admins to use to distribute to their faculty and staff so that they didn't have to craft something that had all the information that we needed. We had a really good, robust knowledge base that people could reference as they went through the process. And so we just tried to make it as easy as possible and kind of demystify what it was. I think most cases, people who get upset or have problems with change, it's because it's the unknown, right? So we just really tried to make it as known of what we were doing as possible.
Perfect. Those are the questions. There's a few other that were answered in there, but. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll try to summarize the question. So for the ServiceNow integration with the request for software to be added, are we using the software catalog elements within ServiceNow, or are we using, what was the second part? Oh, Jamf Pro, yeah. So the answer to that is really all it's doing is generating a request, right, for the team. They're then going in. There's nothing programmatic about it outside of generating that request. And part of that is we're moving off of ServiceNow to another platform in the middle of that. And so there's going to be a lot of integrations that we build into the new ticketing system or the service management tool that we're going to use, but not a lot of investment in ServiceNow to automate. But the capabilities are certainly there to make that a better experience and more automated experience within ServiceNow, but just not something we're doing right now.
The privileges application, how do you confirm that the university meets the QPCs, terms and conditions of those applications? Because there's a lot of freeware that is not available for education. Each faculty might use it, but how do you keep that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a team effort. Oh yeah, sorry. I'll repeat the question. So how does the university ensure that that with the implementation of privileges that faculty and users are compliant and only using software that's been approved? There's a lot of ways that we've kind of addressed that. Security is a team sport. I keep hearing at each of these sessions. That's so true, right? We've got several teams, security-faced teams within A&M that are doing things like monitoring kind of the usage of different things. We certainly have certain applications. It's a very short list in our environment, but certain applications that we don't allow on the devices. And so in some ways, that's kind of how we're doing it. But again, it's been a monitor and, and then address the issues as they come about versus restricting first, right? And that's been very welcome. Now, as we go about this and over the next year or two, we'll probably learn a lot and hopefully get to a place where we can refine that a little bit more to prevent, things that we can't anticipate from happening. So.
Yeah, and to that, the partnership with the software procurement team I mentioned, we go to them a lot. So if a request is generated for a software, and maybe it's something fairly unique to a department that we just don't know a lot about, we go to them, and it's part of their job to look at the terms and conditions for that application, see, is an education license, if it's free, do they have to go through a certain portal? And then depending on, their response, we can either generate it or kind of reach out to the customer, let them know that it's good to go. So.
Yeah, there's a mix of software on campus that is individually licensed or subscription-based. The subscription-based ones are pretty easy because it's normally tied to a user's login. But we also have site-licensed software, right? So for site-licensed stuff, it's generally available in self-service because everybody's licensed. For things that are tied to a college or department, exactly what Stephen said, we'll work out maybe making the software available, but they still have to go through, their department's procurement to get a license and activate it or whatever. But yeah, it's hard to put. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sorry.
She's keeping me honest here. How has Mesa, really helped us with this whole process, right? Outside of the automation, the expertise in building the automated workflow, which would have taken us significantly longer to try to figure out if we could have ever done it on our own. The support and the expertise from that group has been really invaluable. My team has several Jamf certified experts, and yet the years of experience and capabilities of a group like Mesa has been really something we've leaned on for things that we just don't have the experience with, right? I mean, they've worked with all kinds of corporations and companies across the world, and so we don't necessarily see all the use cases in the university environment that they've seen to address. And so Stephen and his team have been awesome to reach out at any time. We have a Slack channel set up, whether they join our open Zoom sessions that we have when we run into a problem that, we just need expedited to solve. They've been available. So again, the partnership with both Jamf and Mesa have been critical to our success. And depending on kind of your resources available, if you're doing something similar, I highly encourage you to partner with somebody that has done this before. As much good intention or as many plans as we made and anticipating what issues there was no way we were going to be able to anticipate all the issues, and having those resources readily available to address them in a timely fashion is really, really critical. Our faculty don't want to wait. We've done something that disrupts them. As fast as we can get their machine back up and running is really the most important thing. So they've been really helpful in achieving that goal. Yeah. So with so many devices, how do we manage life cycling, right? Well, for us, step one was unification, so we had the visibility to understand kind of what the fleet looks like, right? That was a really big challenge. And so understanding the fleet in a unified environment, we can now anticipate or provide information to finance and procurement offices to life cycle those devices. Part of the problem with Macs, though, is in a university environment, they paid money for it. They want to hold on to it as long as possible, eke as much out of that lemon as they can. And for us, it becomes an issue because obviously security patches and things get deprecated with each new release, and how do you keep up with that with no money and all of that? And so we're not going to be at the place where we want to be, where everything's life cycled every 3 years, right? That's kind of ideal. But we hope to improve kind of getting rid of and out of the business of supporting and managing 7, 8, 9-year-old devices, right? And this has been a huge step in that direction. Most of the time, it's just a lack of awareness. You know, a dean or a department head doesn't realize they have all these devices that, you know, really are security risks. And so, but with that data, we're able to share that information, have that conversation, you know, and then help make a decision of, okay, we need to go invest in some replacement machines. And we started to see that a little bit, but long term, I think we're going to really see that be an advantage of unification. Yeah. Yeah, great question. So questions about managed Apple IDs and are we doing it or have we approached it? So we've been thinking about it for several years now, and honestly, we're at that point where we are just going to do it. Now, doing it is got to be done very delicately, but Apple makes it pretty easy now with the process of actually federating. And so I feel confident, but I now have to have that conversation with our leadership, with our faculty, our communications team to make sure we do it the right way, right? At the end of the day, again, IT doing something in a vacuum has never turned out to be successful. So it's near the top of the list. I don't think we can not do it if we really want to be in a position to manage Apple devices successfully with all the changes and the dependencies on managed IDs. So soon and very soon.
Yeah, I want to add on to that too, is one of the beautiful things of attending a conference like this in person is learning things even outside of sessions and the brain dates and all that. During the keynote yesterday, a gentleman overheard me actually talking about this, where we were kind of, a lot of the cool features require managed Apple IDs now. And I was like, if we try to claim all of the A&M ones, you inherit, personal purchases made that somebody might have made. And it's a big, I don't know, that's a very big thing to tackle, whether legal or whatever. And actually, they overheard me and they turned around and they said, that's actually not true anymore. There is a workflow in place where if you, claim those, there's a workflow where it prompts the user, says that, A&M is claiming, at tamu.edu, create a new Apple ID, and it'll attach their personal stuff to that new Apple ID and pull the A&M one away from them. And I want to give a shout out. He's actually in the audience. Thank you very much for listening to me. So, I want to say, that is one of the other cool things just of coming to something like JNUC is, finding that type of thing out, just totally random, by happenstance. So.
Well, I appreciate everything, and I know we're up against time here, but thank you very much, and
Thank you.
thank you for the speakers.
Appreciate it.